Welcome to this overview of the robotic process automation market, otherwise called RPA. So first things first, let's start with defining what is RPA. And RPA actually is a software technology that makes it easy to build, deploy, and manage software robots, otherwise called bots. And these bots, they actually emulate human actions interacting with digital systems and software. So why would you go for an RPA solution? So the goal of RPA is to automate repetitive tasks. And when you automate repetitive tasks, you can basically streamline the workflows of an organization and increase the productivity of its people. So this makes organizations more profitable, flexible, and responsive. So in terms of main players for the RPA market, we can check out the latest Gartner Magic Quadrant, which was published in 2021. So you can see that in the leaders quadrant, there is 4 players: UiPath, Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, and Microsoft. In terms of visionaries, WorkFusion, Pegasystems, Appian, Service Trace. And then there are challengers like NICE and Edgeverve Systems. And then there is a bigger ecosystem of niche players. The most notable ones are SAP and IBM. So we can define this market as being a market still in its early days, with an estimated target addressable market of $60 billion. And in terms of sales revenues, today, or let's say last year, back in 2020, this market used to be 1.6 billion with a compound annual growth rate of 32%. So this is still a market in its very early days, and most of the main players in this market are experiencing explosive growth. So this is really a very interesting segment of the software industry, and a segment that's going to be a very, very interesting space to watch in the future. So the market players, as we said, they could be divided into 2 main categories. So there are the usual suspects: Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, and UiPath. And these usual suspects, we can call them as being the horizontal players. And what we mean by horizontal players, meaning that these companies, they started in the RPA space and evolved their solution, mainly focusing on the RPA use case. So they didn't start from anywhere else and then added an RPA feature to their solution. They are basically specialized in RPA, and RPA is their bread and butter. So these 3 players, they actually have 52% of the market as it is today. And then you can add 7 other players, which takes you to 10. And these 10 players that you see on screen, they basically have almost 80% of the market. Last year it was 70%, this year it is 80%. So this means that there is a market concentration in a couple of main players. This doesn't mean that this market is not up for disruption. There are still other newcomers joining the market and trying to make a dent and trying to make a good impact in this space. But mainly, there are the usual suspects, the pure players, which are the top 3 you see on the screen. And then there are other players, which are, we can call them vertical players, in a sense that they start from another aspect of the software technology space, and then they add the RPA capabilities, be it by developing their own solution or developing their own solution and increasing it with some acquisitions. So let's start with the vertical players. So most of these vertical players, actually almost all of them, they entered in this space with acquisitions. So the most notable one in the vertical players is Microsoft, because Microsoft is in the leadership quadrant of Gartner. Their solution is called Power Automate. It's coming from uh, their own development, but also from an acquisition they made in May 2020. Their solution is mostly Windows centric, like any other Microsoft product, which is not a surprise. And they try to build an ecosystem around Windows, where specifically for Windows 10, they bundle RPA capabilities for free for any users. And they have interesting combinations with Azure and with the AI capabilities of Azure Cloud Platform. There is IBM, which is one of the big players in the RPA space from a services perspective, having relationships and partnership agreement with Automation Anywhere, with Blue Prism, as well as with UiPath. But in June 2020, they went ahead with WG acquisition, and they included this RPA solution into their IBM Cloud Pak offering. So this is also a player which would be very interesting to watch because of their big services DNA. So they will be trying to get to this space by trying to convert their current install base. And it is expected that they will go ahead and position their own solution first, and then using their product business, of course, but the services business will always be there to integrate whatever the solution the customer wants. SAP also back in January 2021, they did an acquisition in this space. So their product is now called iRPA, Intelligent RPA. And this is also a vertical approach, starting with the SAP ERP and CRM and other business application suites they have, and trying to add the RPA capabilities to their solution. Salesforce also recently with Service Cloud RPA, a solution that they developed. ServiceNow last month, 2 months ago actually, in August 2021, they did the Service Trace acquisition, and they are now getting into the RPA space quite very aggressively. Pegasystems with the OpenSpan acquisition back in April 2016. Now these guys, they are more centered around the business process and the low code platform development. And they add to that bundled for free with their highest level of licensing. They add the RPA capabilities to their initial low-code LCAP platform. Appian, same thing. They are getting from the same market as Pegasystems, and with the Noviri acquisition, they are now getting into this space. Now the most interesting part of the RPA space are the three main players: Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere, and UiPath, because these are pure players. They've been in this market for quite some time, and they are the early adopters of RPA. All the other players you see on screen, they are most of late comers to this market, except Microsoft, which really has a very interesting position in this space. But Blue Prism, for example, is one of the companies that we can call pure play in the RPA space. They have 2,000 plus customers, an interesting growth solution that can be deployed on premises as well as in the cloud. They have a very interesting revenue retention, and they are experiencing an interesting growth within their existing customer base. So this means that whoever starts with RPA, usually he will automate a couple of processes, and then he will start by trying to automate more and more, which means more room for growth for these players and more revenues from the existing install base. So this is the perfect strategy for land and expand, and the perfect execution of the land and expand strategy. So you can see also here from Blue Prism that they are very, very positive about the future of the market. In a Gartner study here, it is expected that 85% of enterprises will have deployed an RPA technology by 2022, and that McKinsey is saying that 50% of work activities are automatable today. So you will see more and more of opportunities in the automation and the RPA space. And that's why all the usual suspects are getting into this market via acquisition or via developing solutions on their own. So 2000 plus customers, as we said, 70 plus industry with a big focus on industry solutions. A very good set of customers having more than $1 million of annual recurring rate. So this is a very good player in the RPA space with his 2000 customers, and is expected to continue to perform well because of the technology and because of the early adoption of RPA. So even if other players with deeper pockets are getting into this market, they're going to still take time to struggle to give the same capabilities as Blue Prism. So they have very interesting target use cases. So a concentration mainly in the financial industry space, with 46% of their revenues coming from there, followed by the communication, media, and telecommunication space, and then other sectors which are also having interesting success stories. So what is really amazing about RPA is that you can see that in the Santander case, so automation helps really make customers so much more effective. You can see here that they automated the payment of COVID-19 response, something that would have taken 30 FTEs, but it is done with minimal amount of people because of the automation of RPA. You can also see that BT, for example, saved 20,000 hours of labor a month because of the RPA implementation of technology, or even the NHS saving 220,000 pounds and releasing 500 hours of patient care and improving the execution of processes from 20 minutes to just 5 minutes. So tremendous opportunities in the RPA space, mainly addressing the repetitive tasks. And then any repetitive task is taken by the software through a discovery solution, and then implementing the right set of actions so that you enable a bot to really understand that process and to do it instead of a human, which actually makes human much more productive because they can concentrate on other tasks that are of higher value. So in terms of revenues, so it's in the £100 million of TCV per quarter, and it's experiencing an interesting growth rate. 2,000 customers with 1,000 employees. So Blue Prism is, out of the three, the smallest player. The next player would be Automation Anywhere, which has 3,200 plus customers and 2,100 business partners. So it's almost 60% more than the customer number of Blue Prism. Their messaging is more around them being a cloud native automation platform. So they focus a lot on the technology, the underlying technology, because they've built this technology on using Docker containers orchestrated by a Kubernetes platform. That's why they recently had a very interesting collaboration with Google, because Google loves Kubernetes, and Kubernetes as a project originated in Google. So they focus a lot on the technology and the underlying technology, and they communicate a lot about this cloud native and the deployment types, and that they offer web-based platform for end-to-end automation. They have very good capabilities when it comes to the discovery, to the bot automation, and some very interesting AI applications and AI add-ons to their Automation 360 suite. This is still a private company, so there are no published numbers related to their revenues or details about where they are making money and whether they are profitable or not. But the main player in this space, and it's no surprise here, is UiPath. So as we explained in the previous slides, so you have Blue Prism with 2,000 plus customers. You have Automation Anywhere with 3,200 customers. So already you can see here that with 9,100 plus customers, this is the undisputed leader of the RPA space. 726 annual recurring revenues, 726 million of annual recurring revenues, 60% growth rate, $144 based net retention rate. So explosive numbers, and really by far the leader in the RPA space, and a rocket. UiPath has IPO'd in 2021 and is since then a rocket in terms of growth. Their messaging, so this is a platform that's been there for more than 15 years. So their software is really offering a user experience that is unmatched by any other player. So the software sees what the human is doing, and he's gonna leveraging technologies like computer vision and AI. He will read the screen and identify the different steps done by a human in a particular process, and then the system will think and leverage the machine learning to decide what to do, and then the RPA will basically automate the whole process and integrate via its automation layer with so many solutions out there. So this is a very comprehensive solution that's been there for more than 15 years. So this is the solution that has the most integration with other platforms. So it offers flexible deployment models, be it with Automation Cloud SaaS offering, which was launched almost 2 years ago, or to host the solution in one of the hyperscalers in a hybrid model, but also on premises. What it's going to do is mainly 4 steps. So the discovery of the different processes, the building of the processes that the bots will execute, then management and engagement features to help you run these robots and automate the processes, and then leverage machine learning to keep improving the automation of these processes. So this is an end-to-end automation platform, leveraging, as we said, 15 years of innovation, adding a lot of APIs, and it has the most comprehensive API libraries in the market. One of the most effective AI computer vision, and deep integration with a lot of templates and modules for machine learning and AI. And most importantly, automation, UiPath offers a very easy access and start to RPA. So it leverages low code development, but also on the other spectrum of things, a very sophisticated development platform for the customers who really want to integrate this with workflows and to really embed this solution into their current infrastructure. So it's valuable for companies who don't have very strong development capabilities so they can leverage all of the templates and the low code modules, or if it's a sophisticated company that really wants to dig deep into the RPA journey and really embed this system with their own landscape of solutions, then that's also possible. The deployment is flexible, be it in the cloud with UiPath new cloud solution or on premises. And then they have a very large ecosystem of partners and a very successful academy that helps customers reduce this learning curve for the RPA space. So UiPath Automation Cloud, as we said, so this was launched in December 2019 and already 2,850 customers. So this number really says it all. Players like Blue Prism has 2,000 customers, 3,200 for Automation Anywhere, and you have UiPath just with the cloud version of the software already nearing the more than the customers of Blue Prism, and almost the same number of customers of Automation Anywhere. So a lot of automation features related to AI. So you have machine learning models and pre-built models that help you do document understanding, that help you with computer vision, tailored to the different industries and sectors the customers are in. These machine learning models help with the robots getting smarter every day and leveraging the data that they are ingesting to be able to be more effective in delivering the automation capabilities for these processes. And you can also build your own data extraction engines, leveraging emails, transcripts, web pages. So you can feed data to this platform and then enable it to really help you automate a lot of processes with an unmatched ease of use compared to all the other platforms. So UiPath Studio, as we said, so this is the low-code offering for companies who really want just a drag-and-drop experience, and they really want to leverage the pre-designed templates and the common integrations. But also you have UiPath Studio and UiPath Studio Pro, which are so much more advanced tools to help the experienced developers and the companies who really want to embed this technology with their own landscape of solutions. So there is the UiPath AI Center, which really has a lot of models for data extraction, computer vision, natural language processing, and so much more things that are getting added to this solution. Document understanding, UiPath task mining, which really helps you record the user activity and then mine the processes and use the power of AI to really understand the different steps involved in the repetitive task that the customer is trying to automate. Very, very interesting customer stories. And the main trend you will see is that customers, they save lots of amounts of time. They can free up so many resources. You can see here with Nielsen, over 400,000 hours of work automated across 40 business units. And this is the usual trend you see. So you sign a customer, he will define a couple of processes to automate. And then when he sees it happening, it's a rocket from there. So you can see here Nielsen, 2018, 20 robots implemented, 2019, 100, and then 2020, 200 plus. Also, this is a very interesting use case and a very interesting customer story in the insurance space. You can see here that before implementing UiPath, you had 4 full-time employees processing 5,500 claims per month with UiPath and 4 robots. They can basically do 5 times more than that with 4 FTEs and 4 robots, so 27,000 claims per month. So you're talking about 4-person team operating at the level of productivity of a team of 20, which is really tremendous. And this is the kind of things that really augment the competitive advantage of any company by getting their employees so much more productive using robotic process automation. So UiPath has by far the most developed ecosystem of partners. 2,000 partners for Blue Prism, same thing more or less for Automation Anywhere. Double that for UiPath. And most importantly, UiPath has a lot of technology partners, a lot of APIs, a lot of integrations with these technology platforms. And at the same time, you will find that a lot more business partners have built a practice for very large organizations related to robotic process automation. And these players are really seeing that RPA is the future, and UiPath really has a very interesting partner program that helps these business partners get their customers on a fast track to the digital transformation journey.